Get ready for the most action-packed month of the year. I call March 2025 the month when everything changes, as we get the first lunar eclipse in Virgo, the final solar eclipse in Aries, and Neptune changes signs, something that happens once every 14 years. All the while, Mercury and Venus are retrograding in the background. Let's take a closer look at the month of March and break the most important transits for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you like my work, please show your support by leaving me a like, a comment, subscribing, and pressing the notification bell. You can watch more of my content. It encourages YouTube algorithm to send more views, more people my way, helps me grow. And you can also say thank you by buying me a tea, a coffee, a croissant, any token of appreciation you send my way, even if it's a happy thought, is highly appreciated. Before we dive in, if you're looking for a personal astrological consultation, you need help picking an important date for your wedding or your business initiation, you're looking to figure out your karmic purpose, your relationship compatibility, or your year coming up, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. On there you can book a reading with me and talk to me about anything your heart desires. Additionally, on my website, you can pick up a horoscope subscription to meet with me every month or receive monthly horoscopes every month. And second time in a row, it's probably going to become a regular thing, I have an election report for the month of March, highlighting the most potent and powerful days that are good for love, business, manifestation, parenthood, writing, creativity. There are lots and lots of possibilities, and March is a pretty tricky month, so I think whatever help we can get, we should take. So all of that is at anastasiadoesastrology.com. There's a separate tab for subscriptions, and you can find the elections report in the Kindle or print shop. Additionally, since it is the month of double retrogrades, with Venus retrograding in the sign of her detriment Aries and Mercury retrograding in Aries and the sign of its detriment Pisces, I'd like to highlight my Venus in Taurus candle. This candle captures Venus in the sign of rulership, powerful for manifesting, powerful for creating ease and harmony in relationships. It is pink and it's decorated with rose quartz crystals, which are associated with Venus. Highly recommend this for March, as Venus and Mercury are both retrograde. If you were born with Venus in Aries, Scorpio, or Virgo, signs of detriment and fall, if your natal Venus is retrograde or if it's placed in the 6th, 8th, or 12th houses, which are more difficult for Venus. Additionally, this is my second edition of Mercury in Virgo candle. It is white and it smells like fresh cut grass. Very refreshing, very helpful for writing, for speaking, for content creating. This is a must for any writer, any YouTuber, any blogger, because the retrograde of Mercury creates a lot of technical glitches, miscommunications, and issues with websites, information, etc. So this can help you avoid it, as well as this is perfect for anyone born with their Mercury retrograde or Mercury in Pisces or Sagittarius signs of detriment, Mercury in the 6th, 8th, 12th houses. I would also include Mercury conjunct square opposite Saturn, which may tend to create a bit more self-doubt when it comes to your intellectual abilities. So March is major. It is a very important month in this year, as it brings the final solar eclipse in Aries, completing the 2-year cycle that got started in April 2023. It brings the first eclipse in Virgo. It brings 2 retrogrades, a lot of action in Aries and Pisces with Mercury and Venus, both entering Aries and then retrograding back into Pisces. And then arguably one of the 3 biggest transits this year is Neptune entering Aries. The other 2, I would say Saturn entering Aries and Uranus entering Gemini, all of which will last at least 2.5 years. For Saturn, Neptune 14 years, and Uranus about 6 years. So Neptune enters Aries to celebrate the ending of the month. This is a really big month for those who have planets between 0 and 10 degrees cardinal signs. Those would be Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, and Libra. And also people who are born in the first 10 days of their zodiac season. Like if you are in a March Aries, December Capricorn, right? And like the beginning dates, as well as the last 10 degrees of mutable signs. So here we're looking at the final 10 days of the season of Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces, because there's going to be a lot of shifts between those in there. So let's take a look at the month chronologically, and then we're going to break down the most important transits for all 12 signs, starting with Venus going retrograde on March 1st. Venus is retrograding in Aries, and then on March 27th, she enters Pisces. And the retrograde lasts from March 1st until April 12th, spanning approximately 16 degrees. Venus is moving from 10 degrees 50 minutes Aries to 24 degrees 37 Pisces. So once again, if you have planets between 24, 29 degrees Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, Gemini, or between 0 and 11 degrees Aries, Capricorn, Libra, and Cancer, this is going to affect you the most. Venus going retrograde is the time of review in relationships of all kinds. Venus rules connections. When she begins her retrograde, there is an implication that something is not quite working in our relationship. Something needs to be addressed. Something needs to be brought into the open. Venus retrograde is the time of the Venusian cycle when she's descending into the underworld and she's observing all of the things that are ugly, dirty, unpleasant, not discussed, and she's calling us to integrate it. So this could be the time of review in relationships, creative projects, associations, renegotiating of contracts. It can also be the time of more insecurity and more self-doubt and sort of more ambivalence when it comes to relationships. As always, Venus retrograde might bring exes into your life, especially if you are Libra, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius risings run a higher risk of that because Venus will be retrograding through your 5th or 7th house. Highly recommend Venus in Taurus or any other Venusian candle I have as a remedy for this transit. On March 2nd, Mercury conjoins Neptune, very spiritual, sensitive communication, great for like Reiki healing, sound healing, community meditation, but can bring a lack of focus and a tendency to skip over details, so watch out for that. This transit repeats when Mercury goes retrograde on March 29th, so keep in mind that the energy from March 2nd can come back around. March 2nd also has the Sun squaring Jupiter, which is exuberant and optimistic and joyful. But once again, there is a bit of a danger of taking things too far with the Sun square Jupiter and Mercury conjunct Neptune. You may be willing to help people to the point of your own detriment. It might be the time of self-sacrifice, over-promising and under-delivering. So the more you can stay patient and restrained and moderate in your self-expression, the better this transit will show up for you. On March 3rd, Mercury enters Aries. Will stay here until March 29th. Will begin its retrograde on March 15th. So Venus and Mercury are both kind of in the same boat, right? Venus is retrograding, making us question love, beauty, connection, and Mercury will later begin retrograde, making us question communication and intellectual pursuits. Mercury, like I said, is in Aries from March 3rd until March 29th. It is a very direct, very outspoken, very straight to the matter of things, razor sharp placement, which could be great for expressing your feelings, but watch out, as always, to not be too harsh, right? Because Mars has gestation direct and it spends the whole month in Cancer, so we're still feeling quite tender and sensitive and emotional, so be careful there. March 5th, Mercury sextiles Pluto. This also repeats on March 25th when Mercury is retrograde. This is intuitive, this is insightful. It's great for research. It's great for community connections, working with people, helping people. Mercury in Aries is innovative and willing to come up with new ideas, try new things, initiate new projects, and Pluto in Aquarius will bring the element of science, AI, futuristic thought, and a desire to help communities. So it's great for presenting projects, collaborating with other people, doing work that is quirky, Aquarian, future-oriented. March 8th, International Women's Day. The Sun in Pisces trines Mars in Cancer. This is lovely because you have one energy of the Sun, emotional, conscious, sensitive, dreamy, connecting with Mars, fresh from its retrograde, having more clear sense of purpose. It's a great time to start new projects, to express yourself physically, do some kind of like physical work, and you feel more courageous, strong, you're better as a leader, you may be more sexy or more willing to kind of express your sexuality. So this is quite an exciting transit. Similarly, March 11th, we have a beautiful one as Mercury conjoins Venus. This is eloquent speech and communication, perfect for writers. It's a great time to tell someone how you feel, to go shop because Mercury is still direct, right? So it can help you make healthy choices or good choices. It is also symbolic of compliments, good news, and exciting opportunities to maybe make amends and smooth things over in relationships. March 12th is one of the 3 Cazimis this year. We have Saturn Cazimi, not this year, this month. We have 3 Cazimis, Saturn, Venus, and Mercury, which is pretty exciting, and they all carry with them the potential of depth of understanding and clarity. So Saturn conjoins the Sun, also known as Saturn Cazimi, on March 12th. This could bring seriousness and maturity and deeper insights and understanding as you're thinking towards the future, you're looking towards the future. It could be a great time to complete projects or start new projects that require long-term commitments. It could be the time of tough decisions and maybe, once again, sort of conversations about long-term decisions involving long-term relationships, partnerships that take you forward and help you reach your goals. In the wake of this Saturn Cazimi, we get the lunar eclipse in Virgo. First ever eclipse in Virgo in a really, really long time. The North Node and the South Node haven't been in Pisces and Virgo. Last time it was in 2007. So this is the South Node Virgo eclipse, which, we haven't had those since 2007. So it's a very serious kind of energy. And because we just had the Sun Cazimi, the eclipse picks that up. Sorry, we just had Saturn Cazimi, so the eclipse picks that up and it opposes Saturn. So it brings those reality checks and heavy thoughts and questions. You're sort of with this lunar eclipse, because lunar eclipse is the full moon. It's an opposition between the moon in analytical perfectionist Virgo with the South Node there, calling you to release perfectionism, to release like criticism and workaholic tendencies. And it's opposite the Sun and Saturn in Pisces, which is all about dreams and rest and spirituality and soulful projects and letting things go. So I think this eclipse in Virgo, besides bringing change to the Virgo sector of your chart, can also be quite important in terms of letting go, like I said, of maybe work projects that are exhausting, letting go of perfectionism, letting go of sort of self-doubt, and perhaps committing more to your dreams. And this is also the completion of the chapter that got started with the new moon in Virgo in September 2024. On the same day, March 14th, the Sun sextiles Uranus, which means the eclipse trines Uranus. And that is lovely for innovation. I'm thinking here, Virgo has to do with service. Virgo has to do with health. Virgo has to do with work. So for many of us, there will be some transformations about the way we do work, especially with that Uranus and Taurus, right? Uranus and Taurus is willing to innovate, work, home, living situation, food, finances. And so somewhere you need to release in order to have more stability. And so this eclipse is, of course, highlighting that. The eclipse is happening at 23 degrees 58 minutes Virgo. So it's especially important if you have planets between approximately 20 and 27 degrees mutable signs: Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, and Sagittarius. And like I said, it has that south node releasing, rethinking, letting things go energy. March 15th, Mercury goes retrograde. It will last until April 7th. Mercury will retrograde into Pisces on March 29th, moving from 9 degrees approximately Aries to 26 degrees Pisces. So here we are dealing with the usual Mercury retrograde, technical glitches, delays, packages not delivered on time. So allow extra time for travel, for messages, for packages. Be ready for miscommunications, issues with technology, and do not push things. Allow some time to rethink where you're going, the direction you're moving into, because Venus is retrograding and so is Mercury. And both of them are moving from this blunt and I know what it is, let me tell you the truth, Aries, which could be quite, like I said, direct and blunt and like confident in their opinions. They're moving from Aries into a more sensitive, compassionate, dreamy, soulful, connected to others Pisces. So I'm also thinking that there might be some, like we're like needing more forgiveness. We're needing more compassion and more understanding. And so both of those retrogrades happening at the same time are supporting that. March 19th brings Neptune Cazimi. We have 4 Cazimis. I said 3, but there's actually 4, as the Sun conjoins Neptune. This could be creatively inspiring. This could be a conception of some kind of altruistic project, spiritual project, meditation practice, yoga practice. However, there is a bit of a danger of getting misled and making choices that are destructive or choices that lead you to self-sacrifice and maybe take you somewhere where you don't want to go. Aries season begins on March 20th, lasts until April 19th. This is also spring equinox, so it's an energetic shift in the year. We're moving towards new beginnings. There is fresh energy. Aries sun is an exalted sun, right? So it's the time of asserting ourselves in a courageous way, acting from sort of new ideas that we maybe discover as Mars is moving direct, the ruler of this season. There is childlike enthusiasm. There is a desire to start things, not always a great ability to finish things, but very much entrepreneurial, excited energy that Aries season brings. March 21st, Venus sextiles Pluto. This is a repeat of February 7th transit. Could be very passionate, charming, intense, steamy, romantic time. March 22nd is Venus Cazimi. This is the turning point in the retrograde, Venus conjoining the Sun, the moment of insight, beauty, clarity. You may experience a moment of inspiration, seeing a painting that touches you deeply, reading a book, listening to a music piece that touches and inspires you. There might be a moment of connection in your relationship, more closeness, more unity on a physical, spiritual, artistic level. March 23rd, the Sun sextiles Pluto, offering you more determination, focus, intuition, ability to assert yourself and follow your goals, to make positive transformations in yourself and in others. March 24th is Mercury Cazimi as the Sun conjoins Mercury retrograde, which is now the turning point in the Mercury retrograde. Also insightful, can bring good news, important conversations, depth of understanding in the Aries sector of your chart. March 25th, Mercury sextiles Pluto, which is a repeat of March 5th transit. You're feeling intuitive, you're feeling ready to help your community. I've talked about that. But except now it's maybe whatever new ideas that came to you on March 5th, around March 25th, you're getting to review them and maybe rework them slightly because Mercury is retrograde. March 27th, Venus returns, enters, retrogrades back into Pisces, where she will stay until April 30th. This is that portion of the retrograde where you need to be more compassionate, more understanding, more accepting of people in your life, or perhaps you need to let go of some self-defeating tendencies and realize where you're being too forgiving, right? And maybe set some boundaries in place. The same day, Venus conjoins Neptune. This is a repeat of February 1st transit. Another one of those sensitive, compassionate, empathetic energy. And then the final couple of days of the month bring really, really major events. First one being the final solar eclipse in Aries on March 29th. This is a big one. So it is the last eclipse in the Aries Libra series. We've had the North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra since July 2023. And since then, you have likely addressed your maybe shallowness, your people-pleasing tendencies. You've learned to be more clear, more connected with yourself. And so this eclipse is your last opportunity. It's not the last opportunity because there is going to be plenty of action in Aries in the months to come. But it is an opportunity to speak your mind, to connect with your truth, to express your values and your goals and priorities. And so it is both a completion and it's a new beginning because it's a solar eclipse, so it represents a new beginning. And because Venus and Mercury are both retrograde and they just moved from Aries into Pisces. Mercury actually moves on March 29th back into Pisces. But there is a sense that you've been doing a lot of rethinking and you may have felt confused. And this eclipse, because it coincides with two planets retrograde, might be the time when you're still feeling a little confused, right? You might need to wait a couple of weeks after the eclipse season is over to understand what it brought you. But it feels like new beginnings that offer you a chance for personal growth, that allow you to express courage, that allow you to start new things, show up as a leader, and take action, take risks that somehow have roots in the past, like maybe picking up an old project you forgot about and giving it another chance, or getting back together with an ex and giving that relationship another chance. But there is a sense of like review and rethinking that this eclipse brings. And you're very much wondering whether this new possibility is right for you. The eclipse is happening at 8 degrees 53 minutes Aries. So for those with planets between 5 and 12 approximately degrees Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn, this will be very strong for you. Mercury returns to Pisces on March 29th. We'll stay here until April 16th. We'll be retrograde until April 7th. So this is very sensitive, compassionate, right? Still back to that theme of needing more understanding, needing to be more soulful and inspired. However, it is Mercury in its detriment, so there is a bit of a danger of being misled, lacking clarity, lacking focus, following illusions rather than reality. So be careful. Mercury also conjoins Neptune, which is a repeat of March 2nd transit on March 29th, offering you spiritual thinking, but maybe creating a little bit more fogginess in your head, in your mind. And finally, on March 30th, Neptune enters Aries. This is a major, major shift. Neptune has been in Pisces since 2012. It did dip into Pisces in 2011 between April and August. But it's been in Pisces a really, really long time. And now it's slowly starting to shift into Aries. This year, we only get a preview between March 30th and October 22nd. But then in 2026, it will come in and stay for 13 years. So Neptune in a sign tends to glamorize the sign. So we may notice the qualities of Aries, of courage, of physicality. You may feel like you want to lift weights. You may feel like you want to do more cardio. You may feel like you want to start new projects. All of that may be exciting. Aries can offer a hero to us, right? Whether you become a hero in your own life or in the life of your family, or there is a hero that appears in the collective, right? It may bring someone who feels like a hero. However, on the negative, Neptune can also create illusions and can deceive us, right? So there might be a hero or somebody coming into your life that seems really great, but they're not what they appear to be. So there is a little bit of danger of these illusions when it comes to masculine energy, when it comes to men. Maybe, hostile masculinity, people who appear as like warriors and bullies and my way or the highway type of energy. So we'll see, and we'll discuss what it means in your individual chart. Before we dive in and talk about the 12 zodiac signs, if you seek personal connection with me, you have questions that require me to look at your chart, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. and pick up a horoscope subscription or my election report on there to know the best dates in March. And let's take a look at the 12 rising signs and break the most important transits for all 12 signs. Starting with our lovely Aries rising. In February, Mars has spent most of the month retrograde in your 4th house and then stationed direct on February 23rd, encouraging a revision in the sector of home, family, living situation, as well as potentially encourage you to question what comfort and security is for you. Venus has spent most of the month in Aries, blessing you with charm, beauty, encouraging you to maybe update your look, rebrand, or come up with sort of new style for yourself. There was a lot of focus in your social sector with the Sun, Mercury, and Pluto in Aquarius, as well as later in the month when the Sun shifted into Pisces, a chance to get away or a desire to spend more time in solitude and do yoga, meditation, therapy. So March is a huge, very, very pivotal and important month. Mars spends the entire month in Cancer. It is your chart ruler and it is fresh from the retrograde. It's going to be in Cancer until April 18th, and you are feeling a sense of newfound direction after being kind of confused and needing to rethink things for a while. With Mars going direct here, you're maybe moving and looking for a new apartment, or you're being more active with like renting your apartment out, or finding buyers, sellers, remodeling, redecorating. There may be positive shifts in the lives of your family if there was any sort of tension in the family. It can also be a positive time in terms of you being clear on, like internally clear on what you seek, what comfort means for you, what makes you feel secure, and what makes you feel sort of happy. And like with Mars, your chart ruler, in Cancer all month and in the 4th house, you may be craving on a deeper level, you're craving better relationships with family, you're craving better home, more comfortable home, you're maybe craving more ease and rest and peace in your life, right? We start the month with Venus going retrograde in Aries, your 1st house. The retrograde begins on March 1st and lasts until April 12th. And then on March 15th, Mercury enters Aries on March 3rd, and on March 15th, Mercury also goes retrograde from your 1st house into the 12th. So Venus, March 1st, April 12th, Mercury, March 15th, April 7th. So we have two retrogrades occurring simultaneously. And that is, of course, going to affect the month. It's the retrograde that begins in your first house and goes into your 12th house, two retrogrades. So here you are reflecting on how you present yourself to the world and what kind of habits and tendencies you have that maybe do not serve you. So the first, most of the month, it's all about like physical health and wellness and your image. You may be dealing with some kind of health issues, like let's say you're dealing with like a rash that keeps coming back and you're being more thoughtful about it. Or there is, once again, Venus retrograde in Aries and Mercury retrograde in Aries are both ruled by Mars currently in Cancer. So there is this sense of needing to change your look, needing to take care of your health, needing to rebrand so that you can be a happier, more calm version of yourself. Maybe even rethink your sort of health and vitality so that you can be a better parent or a better child, a better partner to your significant other. And then as Venus on March 27th and Mercury on March 29th, both retrograde back into Pisces, there might be insights about your blind spots and your tendencies that are unhealthy as you decide to let some bad habits go. There might be a sense of awareness that what you're doing or how you're presenting yourself is not aligned with who you want to be. You may be discovering spiritual interests, yoga, Reiki, astrology, tarot, healing modalities that are helping you, or interests that you want to bring into the world and share with others. Right in the midst of it all, we get the final solar eclipse in Aries, your first house, on March 29th, which both completes a chapter of personal change that got started in April 2023 with the first solar eclipse in Aries, but also offers you an opportunity to start something new that is born out of this introspection and rethinking. And I will ask you, how has your life changed since April 2023? How has your health changed? How has your identity transformed? Chances are quite significantly, right? You've been having only solar eclipses in your first house in April 2023, April 2024, and now in the end of March 2025. And you may have changed jobs. You may have become a parent. You may have gotten married. There could have been a lot of major transformations. And so this eclipse is a chance to kind of like solidify that and perhaps make improvements to your health, commit to a new path, speak your truth, right? Discover yourself, express yourself. And then still in Aries, it's a major, major month for you guys. Neptune enters your sign on March 30th. This year only stays until October 2022, but next year will enter for 13 years. And this could be the time when you decide to become a hero. Neptune in the first, you feel like you want to change the world. You want to be the sensitive, compassionate, yet sort of like driven and active hero. And you want to kind of make the world a better place, right? This might be the time when you feel less grounded and more dreamy and more sensitive. This could be the time when you're feeling even more connected to soulful pursuits, like you always hated yoga, and now you start to love yoga, and now you want to become a yoga teacher, right? Or you crave a chance to, like, once again, become a healer, become a guide. Maybe, honestly, Neptune in the first house can also be the time when you're like, I want to act, I want to be a model. So there might be like new opportunities and new insights. And then just jumping a little bit ahead, but in May, Saturn will join Neptune, and Saturn will bring Neptunian energy down to reality. But for now, enjoy the sort of more dreamy energy. And then, of course, we are in Pisces season. And so you're still, questioning a lot of internal values. And then we have the first lunar eclipse in Virgo, your 6th house, on March 14th, which is another major, major event this month. This highlights your house of work, health, and service, and it completes the cycle that got started with a new moon in Virgo in early September 2024. And it offers you to release something professionally. It may be the time you're becoming aware of your perfectionism, your workaholism, your hypochondria, your perfection. I already said that, but your self-defeating, self-critical tendencies. Maybe it's also the time you're becoming aware that you don't want to work at a job that just makes you like a cog in the machine, that you want to have, once again, work that is more free, that lets you do your own thing, that is more spiritual, that is more joyful. So there might be endings when it comes to your work. There might be opportunities to reinvent. There might be changes to your health as you realize that your physical health is very much dependent on your mental health. But this is part of the eclipse cycle that got started in January 2025 with the North Node in Pisces and South Node in Virgo. And it is calling you to move into more spiritual, relaxed realm, and reflect back on 2006, 2007 to see if you remember what was happening in your life back then. Check out AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com if you want to book a reading and ask me personal questions. You can also pick up the election report for the month that has the best dates, not just dates, but like the times that are perfect for taking action. And you can also pick up my Venus and Taurus candle and pick up a horoscope subscription if you'd like. For the beautiful Taurus rising, in February, there was a lot of focus on your house of siblings, neighbors, community, logistics, negotiation with Mars, first retrograde, then direct in your 3rd house. Venus entered Aries, inspiring you to reflect on your romantic life potentially. It also could have encouraged you to step back and focus on spirituality, retreat, relax. You may have taken more professional action during Aquarius season and connected with friends in the final third of the month as, well, from the second half of the month as Mercury and the Sun entered Pisces, your 11th house. So in March, Mars is in Cancer the entire month. It went retrograde on it went direct on February 23rd. So since January, you may have been dealing with some kind of sibling melodrama. Maybe there were miscommunications, maybe there were tensions, maybe there were exams you didn't realize you needed to take, or community service you needed to do, or some kind of, tensions with neighbors. And now that Mars is direct, it is helping you smooth it out, right? It's still Mars in its fall. It can still be a bit passive aggressive. It can still be conflict avoidant. But at least it's done. It's direct, right? So having more conversations with siblings, feeling more driven to write, feeling more driven to blog, to speak and express your opinions, all of that is quite likely. Mars stays in Cancer until April 18th, and Mars rules Venus and Mercury retrograde this month. So Venus goes retrograde, and she's your chart ruler. She begins her retrograde on March 1st, and that lasts for approximately 6 weeks until April 12th. Mercury enters Aries on March 3rd and goes retrograde from March 15th until April 7th. Both of these begin the retrograde in the 12th house and then shift into your 11th house. And so you are being challenged and encouraged to think about your habits and your negative tendencies when it comes to relationships. Where are you not saying things, right? The ruler is Mars, direct in the 3rd house of communication. Where are you being too passive aggressive? Where are you choosing to get away and not address things? There might also be questions around friendships and hopes and dreams and matters that will sort of encourage you to be kind of stop procrastinating potentially too. Let's say you've wanted to start your own business, but you're doubting yourself, or you've wanted to open a yoga studio and you keep thinking about all the ways in which you cannot do it because you don't have enough resources or enough knowledge. And so Venus will return to Pisces on March 27th. Mercury will return to Pisces on March 29th. And that could be the time when you have looked at your mental health, you have released self-defeating tendencies, you have become clear of your spiritual goals, and now you're looking for allies, you're maybe rethinking your strategy, rethinking your approach, but getting kind of allowing yourself to dream, I think. There might also be old projects, old connections, old friendships that you are reviving around this time, and old dreams that are coming full circle, becoming more visible to you. In the midst of it all, we get the final solar eclipse in Aries, your 12th house, on March 29th. And this is the completion of the chapter that got started in April 2023 with the first ever solar eclipse in Aries. How has your life changed since then? Has your professional life changed, right? We've had South Node in Libra since July 2023, North Node in Aries, and you may have been realizing that you don't enjoy working 9 to 5 anymore, or you don't enjoy working for someone else, or you don't enjoy work that is very sort of like service, busy type of work. And so maybe you've had a chance to let that go and commit to something more spiritual in the course of the last couple of years. Maybe you've moved and relocated. Maybe you've healed yourself and like focused on your spiritual health and wellness. And so here we're both completing that chapter, that sort of chapter of change, and introducing new beginnings, because it's still a solar eclipse. It's still about starting things. So in the wake of this internal introspective energy with Venus and Mercury retrograde, the eclipse suggests that now you have more clarity and you can very much commit to being a healer. You can commit to being a spiritual guide. You can commit to working in like using your imagination for your work, and maybe even you can commit to better sort of self-care, better ways of treating yourself, talking to yourself without self-doubt and self-criticism. Still on Aries, Neptune enters your 12th house on March 30th. This year will stay until October 22nd, but the next year will enter Aries for 12 years. So this is even more attention to your house of spirituality, mental health, imagination. Neptune is dreamy. It may bring dreams your way, signs, books, messages that inspire you. You're maybe, you're maybe getting sort of inspired to become a healer. You may be getting inspired to tell your story. 12th house is a very much like in solitude comes beauty. So getting inspired to write, to heal, to help other people, to work on your mental health, maybe using some kind of like spiritual modalities to help yourself. Overall, I think Neptune in the 12th house will be the time when you will connect with the invisible world more. And that will be different for different people. For some people, it's their mental health and their psychology, right? For others, it could be their dreams and their writing and their story that they want to tell. For others, it could be about doing astrology for a living. Another major event of the month, aren't they all pretty major, is the first lunar eclipse we get in Virgo on March 14th. So in January, North Node entered Pisces and South Node entered Virgo. And this is our first South Node lunar eclipse. Take a look back at September 2024 when we had a new moon in Virgo, because this eclipse might have a callback to that. Here you're looking at your house of romance, pleasure, parenthood, children, self-expression. Because it's a South Node eclipse and because it's a lunar eclipse, there's a sense that something is completing here. If you were pregnant, you may give birth. If you are a parent, maybe your child is leaving the nest and you're kind of closing a chapter of parenting. There may be a sense of old pleasures no longer feel as enjoyable because the North Node in Pisces asks you to dream big, asks you to find purpose that is more aligned with the collective, aligned with other people. So this could be very much about completing projects, moving relationships to a different level, or letting go of relationships. Or it could be about more of like a bigger inner sense of wanting to do work that is more like, some kind of transformation in terms of what brings you pleasure, and stronger desire to do work that is soulful and helpful to other people. If you're looking for more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. Pick up Venus and Taurus candle there. It's perfect for the retrograde and for you as a Taurus rising. And you can also sign up to become my subscriber to receive horoscopes every month. There's also a VIP option, face-to-face conversation monthly. And you can get my elections report. I'm like, so many things. But I carefully selected the best times in the month of March to help you make the best of the month and maximize positive windows of opportunity. And there are not going to be a ton of them in March, but I'm here to tell you where they're going to be and how to work with them. If you are a Gemini rising, in February, there was a lot of attention on your finances and values with Mars retrograde and then direct from February 23rd in your second house of money and values. Venus entered Aries, encouraging you to connect with friends and to work on your dream projects. Aquarius season encouraged you to write, speak, publish your ideas, while Pisces season brought a lot more focus to your work, professional life, and professional connections. So in March, Mars is still in Cancer. In fact, it stays here until April 18th, but it's no longer retrograde. So if you've dealt with any financial delays, any payments that weren't coming in, professional uncertainty with, you being forced to do work that you didn't want to do, or you waiting for a response, Mars going direct can bring more clarity. It can create that forward momentum in your house of finances and values. Maybe you're figuring out the next chapter at your job. Maybe you're getting promoted. Maybe you're feeling more energetic to do work that brings you money, right? It can also be the time when you're feeling more aligned with your priorities and your values and more clear on what is important to you. As Mars is doing that, we get a lot of action in the Mars-ruled house of Aries. So Venus goes retrograde in Aries on March 1st and will be retrograde until April 12th. Mercury enters Aries on March 3rd, goes retrograde on March 15th, and will be retrograde until April 7th. So both of these begin the retrograde in the 11th house and then shift into your 10th house. So what will this mean, right? I think we have to look at Mars, the fact that Mars rules these retrogrades and the upcoming eclipse in Aries and the upcoming Neptune in Aries, and the fact that you've been potentially dealing with some heavy questions around finances and around your priorities inspires a need for a revision in terms of your dreams and your career. There might be some issues with friendships or allies that you need to address. You thought you were going to start a podcast with a friend, but they drop out, and now you need to find a new person. There may be old projects that you are reviving, old partnerships that you are giving another chance to. There may be a need to look at what your dreams are and how your career is aligned with that, right? If you've always loved video games, maybe you decide to become a video game designer. If you've dreamt about teaching, maybe you commit to that and become a teacher. This is not necessarily going to mean a professional change, but it could mean some type of like realignment, right? Maybe you work with others and you work for an art gallery and you had signed on a donor and then they pull out and you need to do some damage control But it could be the time of sort of like introspection and questions around dreams and goals. And Mercury is your chart ruler. So when Mercury is retrograde from March 15th until April 7th, it is quite likely that you're going to feel more like quiet, introspective, and reflective. On March 29th, we get the final eclipse in Aries, your 11th house, completing the chapter of self-discovery and action in your house of friendships, networks, hopes, and dreams. This cycle started in April 2023 when we had the first eclipse in Aries. It continued in April 2024 with the second solar eclipse in Aries, and this is the last one. How has your life changed since then? Please let me know in the comments below. But you maybe noticed that you've committed to new dreams. You've connected with your community. You've ventured into territories that involve you being more visible, more connected with other people, more aligned with what the world wants, right? Maybe you've transformed your friendships. Maybe you've connected with new people. And as the retrograde is happening, it feels like you're kind of putting some finishing touches and making some final adjustments here. Perhaps you've committed to a dream, and like I said, one of your allies drops off, or you need to figure out how your existing job will allow you to continue doing what you want to be doing. So the retrograde does create a sense of uncertainty, but also a need to review before you move forward. On March 30th, Neptune enters Aries. So this is, it's like such an interesting sequence of events, right? And it's like boom, boom, boom. We have March 1st, Venus goes retrograde in Aries. March 15th, Mercury goes retrograde in Aries. March 29th, we get an eclipse in Aries. March 30th, we have Neptune entering Aries. So much focus on your house of community, on your house of social media, on your house of dreams and networks, and like a desire to be relevant and to be helpful. I see here like time and time again. And so Neptune entering Aries this year only between March 30th and October 22nd, but then in 2026 for full 13 years, is the time of inspiration. It's the time of new dreams. It's the time of new alliances. You're maybe meeting people that are spiritual and soulful. Watch out that you're not kind of signing off all of your resources, because Neptune can confuse us and can maybe lie to us a little bit. There's deception sometimes connected to Neptune. So you will feel inspired, and it can actually be a great time to take action towards your dreams, but watch out that people that are inspiring you are not, but kind of, I guess I'm going to say it as check that they have good values and good morals, and do not rush to kind of sign contracts that seem too good to be true. Because Saturn will enter Aries in May, and Saturn will put things in perspective and will make things more kind of grounded, I think. But I like this for creative inspiration. I like this for desire to help community. I like this as an ability to show up in a social context as a hero, as an inspiring person. All of that is really great. Changes in your home living situation are quite likely as we get the first lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 14th in your 4th house. This is the first eclipse in Virgo. We've had a lunar eclipse in Pisces in September 2024, and then the nodes shifted into Pisces and Virgo in January 2025. So take a look back at September 2024, what was happening when it comes to your parents, your home, your family, your living situation, because this lunar eclipse may be connected to that. You're looking at your home, you're looking at your family, you're looking at your childhood, and you're realizing that maybe you've inherited some beliefs that are unhealthy. You may be letting go of sort of family karma and familial tendencies to work hard and to sacrifice and to always feel like you can do better and always question yourself. So this could be like a very spiritual, introspective eclipse where you're looking back at what your parents used to believe and what you now believe, right? It could also be the time when your living situation changes. Maybe you feel no longer happy with where you live. Your parents, your family may be going through a transformation. Like maybe your mom is dealing with a health issue, or maybe your mom is moving, or maybe your mom is going through a divorce. Like sometimes it could also be, the father, but it could also represent that there are some important changes in the lives of your family members. And this could also affect potentially like your children. And because, ultimately North Node being in the 10th house wants you to dream big. It wants you to start projects, to work on your professional kind of discovery, and it wants you to take those risks and trust that the universe has your back. And before you get there, the South Node in Virgo will encourage you to like clean all of the negative thoughts and perfectionist tendencies and self-doubt and like, once again, all the things you have inherited so that you have a higher chance to just like trust yourself and fly. For more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can pick up my year ahead reading, relationship, or natal chart reading on there. Highly recommend my Mercury in Virgo 2 candle because Mercury goes retrograde and this could be really helpful. You can also get a horoscope subscription or pick up my elections report to know the best times in March to take action so that you have the highest chance of having a successful month. For the beautiful Cancer rising in February, you may have dealt with some health issues. You may have dealt with ups and downs energetically with Mars retrograde in your first house. Mars finally went direct on February 23rd, and it stays direct in Cancer the entirety of March. In fact, it's there until April 18th. So this is good news. It could suggest that you're feeling more energetic. If you dealt with any health issues, if you maybe dealt with family members' health issues, or you felt some kind of like opposition against you, maybe you dealt with people coming back into your life, like your child's father, stirring drama potentially. Mars being direct could be the time when you're like taking action, right? You have diagnose the problem, now you're ready to take care of the problem and sort of solve things. And Mars being direct, allowing you to act in a more clear way and allowing you to take better care of yourself is very crucial because Mars rules Aries, and this month is full of action in Aries. So in February, Venus entered Aries, your 10th house, and potentially inspired professional action. Maybe encouraged you to connect with bosses, mentors, maybe made you ask question of what is it that you truly enjoy doing. You may have made professional changes that were more, that offered more joy and more creative self-expression. Well, now in March, Venus goes retrograde from your 10th house into the 9th. Venus goes retrograde on the first day of the month, stays retrograde until April 12th. Mercury enters Aries on March 3rd, goes retrograde on April 15th, stays retrograde until April 7th. So both of them will begin the retrograde in the 10th house of career, your public life, your status, your reputation, bosses, authorities, and will shift into the 9th house. Venus on the 27th of March, Mercury on the 29th of March. And this is especially important if your ascendant is between 0 and 11 degrees Cancer, or if your midheaven is somewhere in there, as well as if it is between 24 and 29 degrees Pisces. But here you are, whatever action you took professionally, you're maybe taking things back. Let's say you dropped one of your jobs because you felt like you're already doing too much. Venus and Mercury go retrograde and you're like, oops, I actually want to reconsider. Or you're starting to wonder whether you are in the right place in the right time. You may be realizing that in order to be more professionally successful, you need to move. You need to apply for schools. You need to get visas. You need to file paperwork and get your documents approved. So there is some kind of professional review that maybe requires education, travel, legal, writing matters to be adjusted. It might also be the time when your worldview is shifting to perhaps see yourself more as a hero, more as a person that has control versus the person that lets things happen to them. Right as the retrogrades are happening at the same time, we get the final eclipse in Aries, your 10th house, on March 29th, 2025. So this is a big deal, right? We've had eclipses in Aries, all solar eclipses, all about new beginnings, taking risks, showing up as courageous, independent professional since 2023. April 2023, April 2024, March 29th, 2025 is the last one. How has your professional life changed? What opportunities have you discovered? What opportunities have you created, right? What have you initiated in your life? What kind of things did you start? Because this eclipse is a celebration of that, as well as it's a new opportunity to commit and to take action, right? We have the retrogrades at the same time, so things may not be fully clear. You may have to wait until mid-April for all of the retrograde energy to start to clear up. But one thing is for sure, you're ready for a renewal, you're ready for a fresh start, you're ready for something new to happen in your professional life. And so be flexible, right? Be ready for maybe some perspective shift. Ask yourself what has always made you happy, and ask yourself which steps you need to take to get yourself to where you're trying to go. And do let me know in the comments below what has happened in your professional life since April 2023. Neptune enters Aries on March 30th, so continuous action in the sign of Aries. And this can inspire you. Neptune in Aries is a dreamer of, it's like a dreamer and a hero and a soldier and a battler. So there might be like new dreams, new beginnings professionally. Neptune in the 10th can inspire you to be an actress or an actor. It can inspire you to do altruistic work. It can inspire you to connect with your spiritual self and heal and maybe do energetic work. It can also create a little bit of confusion, right? Neptune can make professional things a little foggy, where if you're used to things moving from A, B to C, you're going to deal with A to C to A to B to A again. So there might be a little bit of like confusion and people, bosses, authorities acting in confusing ways or projecting things on you, expecting things of you, seeing you in a way that maybe is incorrect and is not truly accurate to who you are. Saturn will come into Aries in May, so whatever confusion you're dealing with will likely start to clear off around that time. But you are for sure in this longer period of major professional changes. And will it always be easy? No, but that's not what life is about. We have the first lunar eclipse in Virgo, your 3rd house, on March 14th. This is part of the Virgo Pisces eclipse series. The cycles, the nodes have shifted in January 2025. And the South Node lunar eclipse in Virgo completes the chapter that started in September 2024. And it brings change to your to your sector of communication, siblings, neighbors, community, everyday life, logistics, and education, and short trips. And so as North Node is in your 9th, and you're craving expansion, you're craving new goals, new dreams, new countries, new knowledge, new diplomas. The South Node in Virgo says that you need to change the way you think. You need to let go of self-doubt. You need to let go of perfectionism. You need to let go of criticism. You maybe need to let go of things you're holding on to, which might mean comfort of being in a neighborhood that you know everything and everyone. It can bring change in your living situation. It can encourage you to complete a cycle of education. It can encourage you to finish projects, clear your schedule, rethink how you do things so that you have more freedom to dream and to pursue your kind of big goals in life. Please share how this resonates. If you're looking for more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com and pick up a relationship natal chart, year ahead reading. You can also get a horoscope subscription to meet with me every month. The VIP subscription offers monthly 30-minute readings, or a regular horoscope subscription involves me sending you weekly summaries and personalized monthly horoscopes that are way more detailed than even this. And you can also get my election report that can help you figure out the best times in March to make March your friend and ally and not your foe. Check it out. All of it is at anastasiadoesastrology.com. For the beautiful Leo rising, February brought a lot of focus to your mental health, spirituality, the realm of imagination and creativity, with Mars retrograding in Cancer, your 12th house. Mars stationed direct on February 23rd, and it spends the entirety of March, in fact until April 18th, it spends the whole time in Cancer, focusing you on healing, creating, sort of maybe working on imagination-driven projects, writing, also doing work that is healing and helpful to others, and addressing any bad habits, self-defeating tendencies. It can also encourage you to deal with your blind spots or your hidden enemies. Most of the time, our hidden enemy is ourselves, but it can also bring to your attention any type of like spiritual or actual enemies that you have, as well as maybe like encourage you to nurture yourself, I think. So this energy, like I said, is very strong the entire March, and then Mars being in Cancer in your 12th house, fresh from the retrograde, rules the upcoming eclipse in Aries, Neptune entering Aries, Venus and Mercury retrograde in Aries. So it's very important to look at what Mars is doing, right? So I think Mars going direct on February 23rd should be a sign of you finding some kind of clarity. So on March 1st, Venus goes retrograde in your 9th house. And until April 12th, she will travel from your 9th into the 8th. Mercury will follow her lead and will start its retrograde on March 15th and will travel from Aries into Pisces until April 7th. So here you are rethinking something connected to education, writing, publishing, legal matters, and your connections and relationships with others. So for some, this could be the time when you are renegotiating your student loans. Maybe you're applying for a better rate. Maybe you're renegotiating your contract with your lawyer, with your accountant. There might be some kind of rewriting that you need to do, revision that you need to do. Agreements, I think, and like honest conversations around the resources may be necessary. Let's say you wanted to move to Spain and you're like all ready to move, and then Venus and Mercury go retrograde and your flight gets canceled and you can't get the money back, and then that reveals like other financial issues that you need to maybe review and other plans you need to make. If you are a writer or if you are an educator, this retrograde may encourage you to think of agreements you have with other people and like alliances you have and debts maybe that you need to clear in order to have more freedom to explore and adventure and have fun. On March 29th, we get the final eclipse in Aries, your 9th house, completing the chapter that got started with the first eclipse in Aries in April 2023 and then continued with the second solar eclipse in Aries in April 2024. How has your sector of education, travel, writing, publishing, legal matters changed since then? Please let me know in the comments below. But maybe you've moved, maybe you've started working in education, maybe you went back to school, right? There could have been a lot of possibilities, and this is the last eclipse. But because it has that Mercury-Venus retrograde energy, it is asking you to perhaps rethink some of the moves you made and make some changes, right? Like I said, if you moved, maybe you need to renegotiate a better rate. If you started working in education, maybe it's time for you to ask for more money as well. Maybe It's the time for you to work through your student loans so you have more freedom. It will be interesting for sure to reflect on the last couple of years with the whole Libra Aries eclipse series and see how has your life changed and what kind of new opportunities, new mindset, new places have you embraced. On March 30th, Neptune enters Aries. So this theme of like adventure, writing, freedom, travel, all of that continues. And Neptune between March 30th and October 22nd will give you a taste test and will introduce new dreams most likely, right? It will encourage you to expand your perspective on the world, to embrace more mystical, unique, spiritual points of view. It may inspire you to travel. It may inspire you to write. It may give you like new ideas. However, you got to be careful that Neptune is not confusing you too much and not making you see water in the dry desert, right? Sometimes you have to be careful. But I quite like it because I think it could be very inspiring. But of course, some confusion around like education, legal matters, travel could be possible. Saturn will follow Neptune and will enter Aries in May, which will bring more clarity, but will also suggest that you're going to do more work. Like I can see this as, you know, as somebody who wants to be a travel influencer, getting a gig that seems magical, but then later realizing that it requires being in the same place for 2 years or creating content every day. Or somebody who comes up with this great idea to write a novel, but only later realizes that their contract first asks them to write like a series of manuals, which is not quite what they wanted to write to begin with. So just be mindful of that. We get the first lunar eclipse in Virgo in your second house on March 14th. This is a completion of the chapter that got started in early September with the new moon in Virgo, and it is the first eclipse in Virgo. We've had North Node enter Pisces, South Node enter Virgo in January 2025. And you are in this cycle with North Node in Virgo where you're clearing debts, you're maybe building relationships with other people, you're maybe joining finances, getting a mortgage, getting a loan, but like starting new beginnings in your agreements and relationships with others. And before you get there, the South Node lunar eclipse in Virgo will ask you to maybe let go of some doubt, let go of some tendency to control things, right? This could be like your partner is offering to help you pay off your debt. And your Virgo energy is like, no, I want to pay it off on my own. So there might be a need to think where your beliefs are self-defeating versus where are they helpful to you. There might be, with lunar eclipse in Virgo, a chance to pay off a debt. Once again, maybe somebody's helping you. A chance to get a mortgage. There is some sense of like priorities are shifting and finances are shifting, and potentially your focus on like personal gains is less strong than focus on working with your partner, starting a partnership, being sort of in touch with other people, and maybe even investing in things with other people. I'd love to know how this resonates. For more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can book a natal relationship predictive reading on there. Pick up my elections report for the month of March to know what best times are there in March, as well as you can get my horoscope subscription and either receive written horoscopes at the start of every month or pick up a VIP subscription to get a 30-minute reading with me every month. All of that is at anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you are a beautiful Virgo rising, Mars retrograde in February brought maybe confusion, maybe some tension within your friendships, maybe encouraged some networking issues, some allies who seemed to be allies but then acted in a way that made you question that. There could have been delays when it comes to following your dreams, delays in getting replies for people. Mars finally went direct on February 23rd, and it stays in Cancer until April 18th. So the entirety of March, it is here, and because it's direct, it's offering you more clarity and forward momentum. right? You are working with other people, you are working on your dreams, you've had this time to rethink who's in your corner and maybe to rework some projects, rediscover your motivation on some level, and now you're ready to work with others, to lead, to inspire, to pursue new dreams, to speak in public, to venture on social media. And Mars rules Aries, and there's a lot going on in Aries this month, starting with March 1st when Venus goes retrograde. Venus retrogrades from Aries into Pisces between March 1st and April 12th, your 8th into your 7th houses. And Mercury enters Aries on March 3rd and then retrogrades from Aries into Pisces between March 15th and April 7th. So with Mars being in the 11th house, and your goal is to help the community, to work with people, to make people more aware of some kind of important issue, to advocate for, I don't know, your child with special needs or political awareness, whatever it might be, that's the goal. You're working with other people, you're craving sort of to deliver your message. And as Venus and Mercury both retrograde from the 8th into the 7th houses, you're maybe needing to rethink your strategy. You may be needing to discuss some kind of agreements with those people, renegotiate some contracts, right? There is a sense with these simultaneous retrogrades that maybe something doesn't feel quite fair, that you need to examine, what you signed up for, what other people are expecting of you, what are you expecting of them. And so having these conversations, having these negotiations, I think is quite important here. This could also be romantic, but it could affect any relationship where it could be your boss, it could be your significant other, it could be your nanny, it could be your doctor or your child's teacher, right? But there is a sense that something doesn't feel fair, and maybe you need to air things out and address some things. There may be, like I said, relationship issues, things that were unsaid that now you need to address. There may be someone from your past coming into your life, quite likely here because it's Venus and your chart ruler both retrograde between the 8th and 7th houses. And if somebody does return into your life, try to be mindful and maybe do not rush to take them back, as always. On March 29th, in the middle of the retrogrades, we get the final eclipse in Aries, your 8th house. This is the completion of the eclipse series in Aries and Libra that got started in April 2023 with the first solar eclipse in Aries. And then in April 2024, we had another eclipse in Aries. So how has your finances changed? How have your relationships with other people changed? North Node being in Aries since July 2023, the eclipse was in April, but North Node entered in July, encouraged you potentially to assert yourself, to speak your mind, to advocate for yourself when things are uncomfortable. It also could have encouraged you to work with other people, but be clear about what you want and to be kind of an advocate for yourself. So with the retrograde happening and the eclipse happening, it's maybe the final kind of eclipse attempt for you to set the record straight, to clear the air, to renegotiate, to rethink, to pay off a debt of some sorts, to heal, maybe process any sort of pain and loss that you haven't addressed so that you can step into relationships and partnerships with more clarity. Because there is going to be a lot of action in your relationships, right? With North Node being in Pisces. So it's what else do you need to clear financially, spiritually, psychologically before you start a new chapter in your relationships? Right after the eclipse on March 30th, Neptune enters Aries, your 8th house. This year only stays until October 22nd, and then next year it comes in for 13 years. So Neptune in the 8th can encourage you to, it can be the time when you're more generous with other people. You're more willing to share, you're more willing to support others, to maybe even more open to having others support you. But Neptune can also suggest poor boundaries when it comes to money. So if you are about to get married, I would recommend you get a prenup, especially if you stand a lot to lose potentially. having conversations, having sort of clear discussions of finances to figure out, who pays for what kind of agreements you have in your business partnership, potentially. All of that could be highlighted here. I can also like this as maybe being drawn to spirituality and healing arts, healing modalities, and becoming a healer. Saturn will also enter Aries in May, so we're going to continue having a lot of action in Aries. And Saturn will kind of urge you to potentially clear some of this energy and to set better boundaries in place and to pay off some debts. But it can also suggest that you're maybe finding yourself in a position of like either taking care of someone or being taken care of. So having to like ask these questions, what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. And right along the same lines, we have the first lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 14th. This is your first house, and this is a completion of a personal chapter. You can reflect back on September 2024. You can reflect back on 2006, 2007, which is the last time we had South Node in Virgo, and also would have had similar series of eclipses. But with North Node in your 7th house, the name of the game is partnerships and relationships. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot of focus on other people. But this eclipse says that you need to take care of yourself. Make sure to not overload yourself. It could be the time when you're needing to attend to your health. Sometimes eclipses like that can be literally like, it's a cleansing of the body. It can literally be like the time you get a colonoscopy and you get your body checked, right? It could be the time of release in terms of your fears and your self-doubt and your criticism, even like your workaholic tendencies, your tendency to control things, because once again, North Node in Pisces and even Neptune and all of the action in Aries is encouraging you to like welcome relationships and welcome trust and work on being maybe more connected with other people. It could be the time when you're maybe clearing space personally, professionally, physically for new pursuits that are more soulful, that are more spiritual. When I had eclipses in my first house, I went to Nepal and got my yoga teacher training. So things of soulful nature may be happening in your life for sure. Share how this resonates. If you're looking for more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. I highly recommend you pick up my Mercury in Virgo 2 candle. This falls in your first house, can help you deal with the confusing retrograde energy, can empower you through the eclipses, and bring more clarity and easier self-expression and speech. You can also pick up a horoscope subscription on my website and pick up my monthly elections report for March to know the best windows of opportunity and to maximize the month coming up. My beautiful Libra rising. So February was very much confusing on many levels as Mars was retrograde most of the month in your 10th house of career. You may be asked a lot of professional questions. Mars went direct on February 23rd, and it is direct in Cancer all of March, stays here actually until April 18th. So if you've dealt with professional confusion, right? If you've dealt with, maybe you were promised to get a raise, but you didn't get a raise, or maybe your boss was acting weird, or maybe you've been unsure which path to take, which direction to go in. Mars being direct will give you more clarity. It will help you connect with your emotions and to get clear on what it is that makes you happy and makes you feel more fulfilled. Mars rules Aries, and this month is full of action in Aries. Even last month, Venus entered Aries in February and encouraged a lot of action in terms of your relationships, maybe brought up some friction in relationships, right? Sometimes I actually had a Libra client ask me why she was having issues in relationships, a Libra rising client. And Venus in Aries can create friction. It can make you be more direct, more outspoken. And so we begin the month of March with Venus going retrograde on March 1st. And between March 1st and April 12th, she's going to travel from your 7th house of relationships to your 6th house of work, health, and service. Mercury enters Aries on March 3rd and will also go retrograde from Aries into Pisces between March 15th and April 7th. So be ready for some kind of relationship adjustment, relationship reshuffling, right? With the fact that Mars is the ruler and it's in the 10th house of career status and reputation, I can see this as a need to renegotiate some contracts, maybe reopen some conversations about a promotion, about a raise, about duties and responsibilities, which is also aligned with the fact that Venus and Mercury are both entering your 6th house. Venus is your chart ruler. So when your chart ruler is retrograde, you may feel more insecure, you may feel more confused, you may be asking a lot of relationship questions. There might be very literal relationship concerns that are connected to health. If your health hasn't been well, maybe you feel like you cannot be the right partner, or your partner is dealing with some kind of health issues and you're maybe nagging them about it, and that's affecting your relationship as well. Or there are some logistical matters around where you live and who pays bills and who buys food that you need to address. Exes coming back into your life, highly likely, because 2 planets traveling retrograde through your 7th house back into your 6th house can very much suggest that someone from your past is coming into your life. As you are addressing these things and maybe dealing with some kind of element of confusion, the final solar eclipse in Aries opens a window for new beginnings into your romantic and partnership and business life. So once again, Mars is still the ruler. It's still in the 10th house. It's still directing your attention towards public life, career, reputation, status. So I see this as potentially a revival of some kind of partnership. An ex coming back, yes, but because Mars is in the house of career, maybe it's a chance to reconsider some kind of business marriage, right? Business alliance. Maybe it's a chance to bring back an old accountant, an old lawyer, an old partner of some sorts. How has your romantic and business, and how have your relationships changed since April 2023? The first eclipse in Aries happened in April 2023, then we had one in April 2024, and this is the final one, right? So it is your kind of final opportunity to speak up your mind, make changes to your relationships, express what you want, and try to figure out a better balance in your relationship, right? It's a final chance to kind of get clear on what you're willing to deal with, what you're not willing to deal with. It could be shaky. It could definitely be tricky for relationships in March. I would highly recommend you get one of my Venus candles. Venus in Taurus is good, or Venus in Libra, because as your chart ruler is retrograde, as there are eclipses, as Venus is not only retrograde, but she's in her detriment, you can benefit from some healthy relationship energy. On March 30th, Neptune enters Aries, your 7th house. So 7th house is lit up all month. March 1st, Venus is retrograde. March 15th, Mercury goes retrograde. March 29th, we have an eclipse here. March 30th, Neptune enters Aries. This year only until October 22nd, but then next year for 13 years. And so this could be good and bad and ugly, right? And let's talk about the negatives first. So the negatives could mean confusion in relationships. It could mean meeting people that are deceptive, that are confusing. It can bring up issues around sacrifice and self-deception or deception in relationships. It can make you feel like your partner is not telling you everything, or they're not being the person you want them to be, right? On the positive, this could bring maybe someone very dreamy into your life. Neptune in the 7th could be someone who is inspiring and magical and spiritual. But once again, Neptune tends to breed deception. So be careful. Do not make sort of major rash decisions as you are taking your time to get close to this perfect partner, right? Saturn will also enter your 7th house in May, which will be potentially a moment of revelation and the time when you see things through a more kind of clear lens, right? Saturn and Neptune are interesting because it can be the time you like commit to making your dreams come true, or it could be the time the veil falls and you see that the wizard has been lying to you all along. The Wizard of Oz reference for you, or the Wicked. On March 14th, we have the first lunar eclipse in Virgo, your 12th house. It is a South Node eclipse, and it's part of the eclipse series that got started with North Node entering Pisces and South Node entering Virgo in January 2025. So with North Node in Pisces, you are very much focused on spiritual healing. You're focused on your physical body. You're focused on your work and dreams professionally, right? Like new dreams that involve better health, that involve better work, better professional relationships, more visibility, more recognition, things like that. And so what does the lunar eclipse in Virgo do if not reveal your blind spots? It will highlight your mental health, your self-defeating tendencies, your tendency to be tough on yourself, to maybe even be a workaholic, because sometimes doing more work doesn't mean doing better work, right? So South Node lunar eclipse in Virgo can encourage you to release self-doubt, perfectionism, self-criticism, workaholic tendencies. It can encourage you to take care of your mental health so that your physical health is taken care of as well. It can encourage you to rethink your protocols around spirituality, around sleep, around meditation, yoga, and things like that. If you're looking for more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can get a natal relationship predictive reading on there, or pick up a horoscope subscription to know more detailed specifics about what the month has in store for you. VIP subscription includes a live face-to-face 30-minute conversation every month. All of that on my website. You can also get my elections report with the best times, perfect windows of opportunity in March to take advantage of the good positive astrology. If you are a Scorpio rising, Mars was retrograde most of February, stationing direct on February 23rd in your 9th house. This is your chart ruler. So ever since from December 6th, Mars has been retrograde. You maybe felt like you dealt with more obstacles, that things were more confusing. Maybe you dealt with some kind of philosophical, spiritual issues, right? Things around mental health, things around parenthood, things around education, writing, publishing, things like that. So Mars stays in Cancer, now direct all throughout March. Will leave on April 18th. And now that you've addressed things, you have more agency to act when it comes to travel. Maybe you're thinking of relocating. When it comes to education, if you're thinking of studying. Even matters involving, once again, sort of parenting and family matters. Cancer always has to do with like questions of nurturance, right? And so even though it's retrograde, it's in your 9th house, which is education, travel, writing, legal matters, but it's still Cancer. So it's questions around like family, dealing with family, all of that kind of stuff. But it definitely offers you more clarity and maybe opportunities to expand your life through learning, teaching, guiding other people, helping other people. Like maybe you just had a kid and now you want to learn more about pregnancy and help women going through it, or become like a lactation specialist to help women going through that. So that's what Mars is doing. It's your chart ruler, and Mars rules Aries, and this month is packed with action in Aries. So we begin on March 1st. Venus goes retrograde, and she moves from Aries into Pisces, your 6th house, into your 5th house between March 1st and April 12th. Mercury enters Aries on March 3rd and goes retrograde between March 15th and April 7th. So the retrogrades go from your 6th into the 5th houses, right? And there is a need to rethink your health and your wellness and rethink what brings you joy. So maybe you are reviewing your habits, your health protocols, your diet, your exercise routines, especially if you've recently had a child, right? Maybe you didn't have a lot of time to take care of yourself with a newborn, but now you're realizing that you're slowly getting some time to get back to it, right? Professionally, there may be a sense of revision as you've discovered new interests, new goals, new points of interest. There may be some romantic adjustments and maybe people from your past coming into your life, or maybe things changing in the health of your partner and the work of your partner that are affecting your relationship. I can also see this as like a question of like, how do I need to change my work? How do I need to change my health to have more sex or to have more fun? To have more time for love, right? To have more time to spend with my partner or my child. And then as you're undergoing all of this and asking all of these questions, we get the final solar eclipse in Aries, your 6th house, on March 29th, which brings these questions to like a bright culmination and tells you and encourages you to transform your work, your health, your habits, your diet, your exercise routines. And I'm going to ask you, how has this sector changed since April 2023? We've had the first solar eclipse in Aries in April 2023, another one in April 2024, and the final one is happening now in March 2025. And chances are your professional life has changed, right? Chances are you maybe realized what's important to you and you maybe spoke your mind and pursued new projects. You maybe took better care of your health. You may be committed to owning a pet for some of you. 6th house also rules pets. But some type of like clarity and self-discovery and maybe more ambition, more risks that were taken professionally could have been important here. And so this is the final solar eclipse. So it maybe encourages you to ask a few more questions because it coincides with 2 retrogrades. But maybe it makes it clear to you, like, that is what I want to do. I want to serve other people. I want to help others. I want to teach mothers how to take care of their newborns and things like that. And then immediately after, on March 30th, Neptune gives us a preview of what the next 13 years of its transit through Aries will be about. Neptune enters Aries on March 30th. This year will stay until October 22nd, but next year it will enter for 13 years. And so this is a sign of a new long-term cycle of being inspired, right? Doing work that is more compassionate, that is more charitable, that is more healing and helping other people. Neptune can create confusion and can make you a little bit more easygoing when it comes to routines if you're someone who's like a stickler for structure. It may also bring health issues that are harder to diagnose. It is more likely they will be of a spiritual nature. So if you are dealing with any like weird health matters, look within and try to maybe combat them through meditation, through self-inquiry, through yoga, and be careful sort of taking really strong drugs at this time. Saturn will also follow Neptune in May, late May. And so you will get a chance to either like commit to your dreams and work towards making this new passion, new pursuit come true. You may also need to deal with some health matters and sort of get more serious about the way you take care of yourself. Saturn in the 6th house is a vibe. As the Libra rising who's dealing with it right now, it's usually very busy and for sure brings up like health issues around like skin, teeth, joints, bones, all of that kind of stuff. So start now. Take good care of your health right now. We also get the first lunar eclipse in Virgo, your 11th house, on March 14th. So we just had a shift with North Node entering Pisces, South Node entering Virgo in January 2025. North Node in Pisces in your 5th house is urging you to take care of your dreams, right? To connect with your passions, to date and be a parent and to have fun and like connect with your interests. And so while that is happening, the South Node in Virgo and this eclipse on March 14th could be your opportunity to examine maybe unhealthy patterns in your friendships. It could encourage you to shed some kind of friends or talk to friends that are being critical of you, that are being judgy of you. There might be a need to let go of some kind of pursuit that involves community that takes a lot of your time so that you have more freedom to go on dates, to go hiking if that's what you want to do, or spend time with your child. So opportunities to complete projects, to rethink friendships, to maybe even rethink and release some of your dreams that no longer feel aligned with you are highly, highly likely here. If you're looking for more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. I can do your natal relationship predictive reading, help you pick a date for your wedding, or figure out the best place in the world for you to live in. Highly recommend my Venus and Taurus candle for this retrograde period, or Exalted Venus. Both can be really, really good for you. All of that at anastasiadoesastrology.com, as well as you can pick up my election report for the month of March, highlighting the best windows of opportunity and the best moments to take action. And you can also pick up my horoscope subscription if you want more face-to-face contact with me, get a VIP reading for 30 minutes every month, live conversation, or a regular subscription. I will send you horoscopes at the start of every month. For the lovely Sagittarius rising, February brought a lot of attention on your house of communication, siblings, home and family, and your house of romance, pleasure, and children. Mars was retrograde until February 23rd in your 8th house, encouraging a review of debts, loans, taxes, finances, scholarships, maybe some healing, some acknowledgement of the pain and trauma you have been through. Mars went direct on February 23rd, and it stays in Cancer until April 18th. So all of March, you are continuing on, in the direction that you have been questioning, you're continuing to deal with matters involving shared finances, mortgage, loans, maybe paying off your student loans, dealing with mortgage, renegotiating things, maybe, kind of working on partnerships and agreements you have with other people. But the goal with Mars in the 8th house is to have healthy partnerships and to possibly bring positive change into your relationships and into your finances. So with that being at the core, right, with Mars in Cancer being the ruler of Aries, where a lot of action is happening all month, that's important to keep in mind, because that will impact the Venus, Mercury retrogrades, the eclipse, and Neptune entering Aries. So at the start of the month, Venus goes retrograde. She's retrograde from March 1st until April 12th, moving from your 5th into 4th houses. Mercury enters Aries on March 3rd, goes retrograde on March 15th, moves back into Pisces, and stays retrograde until April 7th. So with Mars in Cancer, right, and there's being a lot of focus on sharing, agreements, and fairness, the retrogrades in your 5th and 4th houses make me feel like maybe there are some relationships conversations that need to be had. They may involve money. They may involve paying for things if you feel like you have been the one. They may involve living situation and what you and your partner think about it. There may be a sense of a lack of fun and inspiration and needing to rediscover it. Sometimes with the retrograde between the 5th and 4th houses, the discovery might come from looking back at what you used to do as a kid, what used to bring you joy, or looking at what initially attracted you to your partner and maybe trying to reignite a little bit of that spark again. Venus retrograding and even Mercury in your 5th house. Venus is here until March 27th. Mercury is retrograding in the 5th until March 29th. Can bring someone from your past into your life. So you may be dealing with an ex or two. You may also find yourself talking about things and having conversations that you thought were behind you. questions around parenthood, around children, around motherhood, all of that can be coming up at this time. And there may be a need to rethink your living situation as you're considering becoming a parent, or rethink your childhood trauma as you're considering moving further and getting more serious with your significant other. Even moving somewhere could be brought up as a question, right? If your child needs a better school or they need a better weather for their health. There are a lot of important questions here. As you are asking all of these important questions, we get the final solar eclipse in Aries on March 29th in your 5th house. And this is your opportunity to commit to a relationship, to a creative project, to a passion project, right? If you've been thinking that you like hiking, this could be the time you realize that you don't just like hiking. You want to be someone who hikes for a living. You want to be a hiking guide, right? Hiking instructor. Maybe you want to be a rock climbing teacher or something like that. It could be the time when you get pregnant, for sure. Some kind of, like important development when it comes to children and parenthood. A new relationship may come into your life, or a new chapter of a relationship may begin. Giving birth to a child is also a possibility. Take a look back at 2023. We've had the first eclipse in Aries in April 2023, and then we had one more in April 2024. And all of that brought a lot of focus to your house of romance, pleasure, parenthood, and children, and likely brought some changes to this sector of your life. Once again, a new relationship, a new passion, a new child, or a new maybe hobby and interest. And so how has that changed, and what else do you need to what kind of more actions do you need to take to make this sector of your life more authentic? And what other steps do you need to take to have more fun, I guess, in your life? And sometimes maybe there is something you need to pull back. Maybe you've been having too much fun and now you need to dial it down, or you have been overindulging and you need to dial that down. So it's almost like in your path of being truly yourself, you've taken it too far and you've spoken the truth and you hurt people, and now you want to backtrack. On March 30th, Neptune enters Aries, your 5th house. Will be here until October 22nd this year, and then next year will come in for 13 years. So this is an introduction of a new chapter in your romantic life. There might be a new person coming into your life. There might be an old person that you suddenly look at and notice all the dreamy qualities they have. However, Neptune can also make things a bit foggy and confusing, and you may sort of suffer of being too idealistic or looking at things through rose-colored glasses. So be wary, because Saturn will enter your 5th house in late May, and it will make you look at things through more rational, transparent glasses. It could also be the time when you're feeling inspired, you're maybe more creative, which could be a great manifestation of this transit. You're maybe more connected with children or connected with spiritual pursuits. But once again, it could also bring a bit of tension and difficulty or complications or sacrificing, deception, things like that when it comes to love, pleasure, romance. It can also make you maybe a bit more more flexible when it comes to having fun, and just be careful that you're not lying to yourself, saying oh, I'm just gonna have a drink, and then having more and backsliding into patterns and places that you don't want to go back again, let's say. On March 14th, we have the first lunar eclipse in Virgo, your 10th house. We just had North Node enter Pisces and South Node enter Virgo in January 2025. They began a new cycle that is very kind of home and family focused, right? With North Node in the 4th house, you're seeking more peace, you're maybe planning to start a family, you maybe want to spend more time with people you love, And so the South Node eclipse in Virgo, your 10th house, on March 14th completes the cycle started in September with the new moon in Virgo. And B offers you a chance to maybe shift something in your career. There might be a need to let go of self-criticism, perfectionism, workaholic tendencies, maybe step away from working too much, maybe choose projects that are more soulful and spiritual. So expect major professional changes as this eclipse comes through. For more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com and pick up my Mercury in Virgo 2 candle. It can help with your communication, relationships, agreements, and even self-understanding while we have Mercury and Venus retrograde this month. You can also pick up a horoscope subscription to either get written horoscopes or talk to me one-on-one for 30 minutes every month to discuss the months to come, and get my election report where I handpick the best times astrologically to take action in the month of March. If you are the beautiful Capricorn rising, Mars has spent most of February retrograde, stationing direct in your 7th house on February 23rd. So you may have dealt with some relationship confusion, some disagreements, old fights, people from your past coming into your life. Maybe partnerships falling through or some kind of obstacles to moving relationship forward. Now that Mars is direct, it brings more forward momentum. Finally, you've maybe sorted through some difficulties and you and your partner are working on your relationship, or you found a writing collaborator and you're committing to working with them. You're sort of moving full speed ahead. So Mars brings a lot of focus to relationships and partnerships. And that is important because Mars rules Aries, and this month is just ripe with action in Aries, in the Aries sector of your chart. Starting at the start of the month on March 1st, Venus goes retrograde in Aries, your 4th house, and this retrograde lasts until April 12th, with Venus retrograding into Pisces on March 27th. Mercury enters Aries, your 4th house, on March 3rd, goes retrograde from Aries into Pisces between March 15th and April 7th. So there is some kind of confusion happening in the family, maybe, because here we're dealing with the house of like parents, family members, and the house of siblings. So maybe you're finding yourself being the person that is put in the middle of the drama between your parents and your sister. Or there are some living situation, logistical matters that you need to address. There may be some conversations, phone calls you need to make in order for them to fix your radiator or fix the leak, paint the walls, whatever it might be. There may be some delays, some obstacles connected to that, to like moving, home improvement, home renovation projects. There may be some matters involving property of your siblings that are also coming up, like real estate, siblings, conversations, family, and healing. All of that is happening around this time. I can also see this as like a more spiritual time when you're reflecting on your childhood and thinking of like finding a therapist or writing about it or having conversations about it, talking to your family members about the past, feeling a little bit more nostalgic, right? One thing is for sure, there is this strong desire to get to the bottom of things. And in the middle of these retrogrades on March 29th, we get the final solar eclipse in Aries in your 4th house. And since April 2023, we've had 2 other solar eclipses in Aries, which would have brought major developments when it comes to your home, family, and living situation. You may have moved, you may have purchased a property, you may have healed a childhood wound, you may be moved in with your parents or moved out of the parents' house. There could have been some kind of important developments there. And this eclipse is your kind of final opportunity, but not really, because we're going to have more action in Aries throughout the next years, many years. But it is a chance to put some finishing touches, to maybe set some boundaries with family members that are being too invasive. Maybe, change things in your home, talk to your landlord about getting the leak fixed or whatever. It could be the time when you're being more honest with yourself about the impact your childhood had on your life and figuring a way to be more of like a character, a main character and hero in your life, and maybe moving past some of the childhood trauma. On March 30th, Neptune will enter Aries, your 4th house. Will stay here until October 22nd this year, and then next year will enter for 13 years. So this could bring more confusion when it comes to family. So you're not quite out of the woods yet, but it can bring maybe people misleading you or deceiving you or asking you to sacrifice for them. People kind of struggling, like if you have anyone in your family who has an addictive personality, they may be backsliding. There might be kind of a more difficult situation connecting with like family members. Similarly, when it comes to like real estate problems in the home, you will need to maybe push a little harder. And like energetically, right, you may be feeling a little bit more drained from all the family drama that is showing up because there doesn't seem to be a clear solution. In May, Saturn is going to join Neptune for a few months, and that could be the time when things finally start to feel a little bit more clearly. So hold on to your seats until then. On March 14th, we have the first lunar eclipse in Virgo in your 9th house. And this is part of the eclipse series that got started with North Node entering Pisces and South Node entering Virgo in January 2025. So North Node is in the kind of lead position here, right? Because North Node always hungers for material change. So with North Node in your 3rd house, you're in the cycle of like going towards writing, going towards self-expression, gathering new skills, starting a business, being more grounded and taking action. And when we get this lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 14th, there is a sign that before you're able to take your writing career to the next level, to start your business, to start a blog or a podcast, whatever you dream about, you need to get honest with yourself about your beliefs and maybe let go of some self-doubt, self-criticism, even some workaholic tendencies or some fears that you cannot do what it takes because you don't have enough, perseverance, or you need help of other people. It's kind of an invitation for you to dream a little bit more, right? And to question things a little less and to stop maybe gathering knowledge and asking other people for advice and just get ready to start acting and start doing things. Share how this resonates. If you're looking for more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can pick up a reading on there, get a horoscope subscription to get a more detailed breakdown of the month in written form or in face-to-face conversation, monthly conversation that is included in the VIP subscription. Highly recommend my Venus and Taurus candle for you guys. If you're worrying about Venus retrograde, it can help smooth things over. And get my breakdown, my election report for the month of March. It includes a video and a PDF file giving you the best windows of opportunity throughout the month to take all kinds of different action. For the beautiful Aquarius rising, February brought a lot of attention to your house of identity, finances, values during Aquarius and Pisces season. Mars finally stationed direct on February 23rd in your 6th house. And if you have dealt in January and February with some kind of health issues or work delays, or even felt like there were more problems, more things draining your attention, and maybe, colleagues or other people acting in confusing ways, that should start to clear out because Mars is direct all throughout March. It stays in Cancer until April 18th, and you have more agency. You have even possibly more energy. Mars in Cancer still sort of has ups and downs energetically, so you need to ride the waves when the energy is high, but at least you have more kind of clarity in terms of where you're trying to go, and maybe you're working on projects and collaborating with your colleagues, taking care of health, you've diagnosed the issue, now you're ready to like fix it, right? This is important because Mars rules Aries, and we have a lot of action in Aries throughout the whole month of March. Venus goes retrograde from Aries into Pisces between March 1st and April 12th. Mercury joins her and goes retrograde from Aries into Pisces between March 15th and April 7th. So we have Venus and Mercury both moving from your third house of communication, skills, hobbies, siblings, neighbors, into your second house of money and values. So there might be some kind of adjustment that needs to happen in your schedule. You're maybe questioning the best ways to use your knowledge in order to make the most money. You're maybe needing to have some conversations about finances with your bosses or even with your siblings or neighbors. If, for example, your roommate hasn't paid you for internet bill in 5 months and you've been letting it slide, but now you feel like you've had enough. Needing to maybe take some exams or, fix some things, pay for some things can show up here. So be kind of very careful when it comes to finances, because, the retrograde from the third into the second could be like your computer breaks or your phone falls down and you need to fix it suddenly. So there might be more spendings and sudden sort of financial matters that are coming for a revision. On March 29th, we get the final eclipse in Aries in your third house. And this is the completion of the chapter that got started in April 2023 with the first ever eclipse in Aries and continued in April 2024 with the second eclipse in Aries. And ever since then, and you tell me how has your life changed in the comments below, but ever since then, there was a lot of focus on your house of doing, on your house of communicating, your house of taking action, starting a business, learning new skills, writing, speaking, expressing yourself, maybe even standing up for yourself and your beliefs when it comes to siblings, when it comes to neighbors, when it comes to colleagues. So this eclipse is the final kind of eclipse-sized opportunity to address matters involving siblings, involving neighbors, involving your skills. So maybe you're talking to your boss about giving you a project that is more up to par with what you can offer, right? Or maybe you're setting boundaries with siblings, or maybe you're discovering or rediscovering, reviving an old idea, a writing idea or a business idea. There are a lot of opportunities, I think, to sort of reinvent your schedule and maybe clear things, streamline them, and commit to those projects that are exciting. Because on March 30th, Neptune will enter your third house and will stay here until October 22nd this year, but then next year will enter for full 13 years. And this could be some kind of inspiration, right? Saturn will also enter Aries in May 2025 for a few months, and then next year for 2 years. So there are new ideas that are kind of regurgitating? I don't know. New ideas that you're coming up with. You're feeling more willing to start a business, to write poetry, to blog, to communicate. You have new things you want to share. If you're more grounded, maybe those things will be connected to like changes, taking more responsibility at your job. But if you're more like spiritual and creative, you could still be grounded, right? But be creative. It could be about like writing poetry or advocating for people who are vulnerable, right? Still the ruler is that Mars in Cancer in the 6th house. Still, it wants you to heal and help others. It wants you to solve problems. It wants you to take care of your health, and maybe the health, sort of better health, will also be connected to you being more aligned with what you're doing. So it can inspire you. It can also create maybe some problems and some miscommunications, maybe like easier kind of go with the flow type energy that results in you missing meetings or missing messages. So make sure to stay grounded and wait for Saturn to come in and make things more serious. On March 14th, we have the first lunar eclipse in Virgo in your 8th house. And this is part of the eclipse cycle of North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo that got started in January 2025 and will last until July 2026. And so with North Node being in your 2nd house, it is the period in which you're building your financial stability. You're connecting with your spiritual values. You are changing your priorities, maybe to do more imaginative work, to do more creative work, to rest a little bit more, to connect with your passions. And so the lunar eclipse conjunct South Node on March 14th in your 8th house is asking you to shed the baggage, to shed the ballast on some level, to get rid of the ballast and things that are holding you back. So there may be opportunities to get more clear about what you're telling yourself, your self-defeating tendencies, your doubts when it comes to money, maybe your self-doubt, maybe your tendency to hold on to things a little bit too much. There might also be opportunities to pay off debts and maybe close some kind of partnerships and relationships that are draining and toxic and find those that are more aligned with who you are. So it could be very, very important. I'd be curious to hear what you think. And if you're looking for more, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can also pick up my elections report for the month of March in the shop to find out the best times and windows of opportunity in March, as well as get a horoscope subscription to receive written horoscopes from me or to get a monthly 30-minute consultation breaking down the month to come. All of that is at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Finally, if you are the beautiful Pisces rising, so February brought Mars going direct in your 5th house on February 23rd. If you dealt with any kind of like, if you felt a lack of fun in your life, if you maybe dealt with issues around children, some kind of matters, in your child's life that weren't going well, or romantically, maybe you've had more fights, more conflicts, or just like overall sense of like, just what's the point of it all? This should start to get better as Mars goes direct. Mars spends the entire March in Cancer, your 5th house. And it actually stays here until April 18th. And so you have more energy, you have more clarity. You now kind of know what you need to do to bring more joy into your life, right? You're maybe discovering new hobbies, you may be going on more dates, you may be painting, singing, doing fun things. There may be more clarity in your partner's life or in the life of your child. But the goal with Mars in the 5th is to get yourself to a place of fun. And that could be about committing to your passions, right? Dedicating more time to pleasurable activities. That could be getting yourself ready to date. That could be about getting yourself in the proper, maybe like physical form to become a parent or to become an actress or something, whatever it might be. But the focus is, I think, on just like figuring out better balance in your life so there is more joy. And since Mars is the ruler of Aries and there is a lot of action in Aries this month, that is important because on March 1st, sorry, I just realized that I have the wrong house here and we're not even talking about this, but I got distracted. So Mars rules Aries, and we have Venus, Mercury retrograde in Aries, we have the final solar eclipse in Aries, we have Neptune entering Aries, all your 2nd house of money and values. So the value with Mars being in the 5th has to be connected to pleasure, joy, love, parenthood. This is where the guiding sort of star is, right? The bright star that you're following. So while you're focusing on that, Venus goes retrograde from March 1st until April 12th. Mercury goes retrograde from March 15th until April 7th. And both of them move from your 2nd house of Aries into your first house of Pisces. So what does that suggest? It might suggest that you are looking at your finances and you're being like, okay, I want to become a parent, or okay, I want to become a writer. How do my finances reflect that? How does my health reflect that? Venus and Mercury both retrograde in your second and first houses could be the time you're paying off some debts. You may be consulting, talking to financial advisors, and figuring out better strategy, figuring out how to make your money work for you, maybe signing up for better investment accounts. You're maybe spending money on yourself and your health and questioning your priorities, right? I think with South Node in Virgo, North Node in Pisces, you're also very much in this place of like needing to find a better balance between working too hard and enjoying life and relaxing a little bit more. And so during the retrograde time, the entirety of March, be careful with your spending. Try maybe not to make major purchases because sometimes planets go direct and you have to return the things you bought. Might also be the time when sudden spendings come out, things that you didn't even think you're gonna need to spend on. So all of this is meant to make you more aware, first of all, of your priorities, and second of all, of your finances and resources. On March 29th, we get the final solar eclipse in Aries in your second house, which is meant to once again highlight your goals, your values, and your resources, and encourage you to make some kind of serious commitments, serious cuts, serious investments here, right? And take a look at the last 2 years. We've had South Node in Libra in your house of debts, loans, and taxes, and North Node in Aries since July 2023. The first eclipse in Aries actually happened in April 2023, and then another one happened in April 2024. So it could have encouraged you to become more serious when it comes to money, to maybe make more. Maybe you were also spending more, but ultimately it brought a lot of focus on like personal independence and courage and risk taking. And so this eclipse together with the retrograde maybe is making you question whether you are in the right place, whether you followed the right goals, whether you taking care of your resources the way you need to take care of it. So major kind of transformations financially, professionally, more opportunities for independence, maybe even new projects that will offer you like a new job, a new passion, commitment to like writing or blogging or parenthood, right? That's not necessarily, being a parent is kind of like a job. It's a full-time job. It's the hardest job, right? But some kind of changes financially that are maybe related to children, new pleasures, your romantic life are likely here. And also just like new values, new goals. I'd love to hear what you think and like how has all of this already been coming up for you. On March 30th, Neptune enters Aries, your second house. Will stay here until October 22nd. 2025, but the next year will come in for 13 years. And this is important, right? Neptune in the second is not the best for financial focus. It can actually make things a little bit foggy and make you a little bit more careless and just more willing to spend. So be careful, right? It can also bring up financial insecurity and create danger of like falling victim to a financial scam. So be careful here. Saturn will follow Neptune and will enter Aries on May 25th, only for like 3 months this year, but then next year for 2 years. So Saturn might come in and also like make you more serious about money, make you sort of pull your belt tighter and start to spend less, right? That can be quite like a serious time. Saturn is not necessarily going to suggest that you're like losing work and you're not making more, but there might be reasons why you feel like you're not being compensated enough, or you feel like you should be making more, or you feel like other people don't recognize your work. But in reality, Saturn will encourage you to find more strength internally and rely on yourself a little bit more. Finally, on March 13th, we get the first lunar eclipse in Virgo in your 7th house. And like I said, in January, we've had nodes change signs, with South Node entering Virgo, your 7th house, and North Node entering Pisces, your 1st house. And there's a lot of focus on your identity. There's a lot of focus on your health and your priorities and your goals. And with South Node in Virgo and this eclipse highlighting your 7th house of relationships, there's a need to potentially let something go. Now, for some people, it might mean letting a relationship go if it's holding you back, if it's toxic and unhealthy. But there might also be a need to let something go in a relationship. Maybe a tendency to be perfectionist. Maybe a tendency to be critical. It can also suggest that a partner is going through an important transformation. Maybe a partner is, completing a cycle in their life, or maybe they're struggling a little bit, and so you're kind of having to be there for them. Look back at September 2024 when we had a new moon in Virgo, because this could have sort of similar themes, or maybe you started something back then and now you're coming full circle. I can also see this as like an important culmination of a relationship, right? Moving in together, getting engaged, getting married, getting pregnant, buying a house. Like there are a lot of possibilities, but it will ask you to be more kind of soulful, spiritual, less perfectionist. And on a bigger level too, maybe like let go of some of your workaholic tendencies as you're starting to prioritize different things. Please share how this resonates. If you're looking for more guidance, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Pick up my Venus and Taurus candle or Exalted Venus to help you deal with the retrograde period. And you can also get a horoscope subscription or pick up the report, election report, that includes the best times in the month of March. And thank you for watching. Thank you for being here and for supporting my work. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so now. And I hope to see you next month watching all of my videos. And I hope you have a great month of March with as little stress as possible. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.